kept telling myself, "Don't open it." I wish I'd listened. My name is Rick. I've been delivering parcels for 3 years now. It's not the most exciting job, but it's steady work, and I like the quiet. Most days it's just me, my van, and a stack of boxes. I've seen it all. Heavy boxes that nearly throw out my back, sticky packages, and the occasional barking dog that makes me rethink my life choices. I've learned to keep my head down, get the job done, and not ask questions. Yesterday started like any other. I got up at 6, made some instant coffee, and drove to the depot. The morning was gray and damp, the kind of weather that gets into your bones. I loaded my route, nothing special at first, but then I noticed a box sitting by itself at the end of the conveyor. It was wrapped in brown paper and sealed with a lot of tape. It was heavier than it looked, and when I moved it, something solid thudded inside. There was no return address, just one word stamped in red: fragile. I shrugged. People ship all kinds of weird stuff. But as I put it in the van, I felt uneasy. The box was cold. I told myself it was just the weather. The morning went by in a blur of doorbells, barking dogs, and the usual drop-offs. But every time I looked in the rearview mirror, I saw that box. It seemed to move a little with every bump, like something inside was rolling around. The address was on the edge of town, a run-down house at the end of a gravel road. I'd never delivered there before. The GPS took me past empty fields and into a patch of woods. The house finally appeared. Peeling paint, tall grass, and a porch that looked ready to fall apart. The mailbox was old, and the numbers were hard to read. I parked, checked the label again, and grabbed the box. The air felt colder here, and everything was quiet, except for the crunch of gravel under my boots. The porch creaked as I walked up. I rang the bell. No answer. I knocked, and after a long pause, a man opened the door just a crack. I could barely see his face, just a bit of pale skin and a tired eye. He didn't say hello, just, "You can leave it there." His voice was flat and impatient. I set the box down, took a quick photo for proof, and turned to leave. But then he spoke again. "Wait, can you help me open this? My hands are messed up." He held up his bandaged fingers. They looked swollen and wrapped in dirty cloth. It made me wince. I hesitated. We're not supposed to open packages for customers, but he looked desperate, and I didn't want to be rude. Sure," I said, grabbing my box cutter. My stomach felt tight, but I told myself it was just nerves. He stepped back, opening the door a little more. The hallway behind him was dark and messy, with boxes and old newspapers everywhere. The smell hit me right away, a mix of mold, metal, and something else I couldn't name. The air felt heavy. I set the box on the ground. The man stood there, breathing hard. I tried to make small talk, asked if he'd just moved in, if he needed more help. He didn't answer, just stared at the box. I cut the tape and lifted the flaps. Inside was a thick layer of plastic wrap. The smell hit me again, metallic, rotten, and awful. I gagged, covering my mouth. My eyes watered. I pulled back the plastic, and that's when I saw it. Dark hair stuck together with dried blood, and under it the clear shape of a human head. Eyes closed, skin pale, mouth twisted in a silent scream. I stumbled back, barely swallowing down the urge to throw up. The man rushed forward, grabbed the box, and slammed the door. I heard the deadbolt lock. I stumbled out onto the porch, gasping for air. The world spun around me. I almost dropped my phone trying to call 911. My hands shook so much I could barely hold it. I gave them the address, tried to explain what I saw, but the words came out all wrong. I sat in my van for what felt like forever, heart pounding, sweat cold on my skin. I kept replaying the moment in my head, the smell, the sight, the man's bandaged hands grabbing the box. I didn't want to believe it. I kept telling myself it had to be a mannequin head, a prank, anything but what it looked like. The police came about 20 minutes later. I watched from the van as they searched the house. They were in there a long time. When they came out, they looked serious. One officer took my statement, asked me to describe everything. I told them about the man, the box, the head. I showed them the delivery photo. just a brown box on a sagging porch. But when they searched the house, it was empty. No sign of the man, no box, nothing but the smell and my muddy footprints. The officers said they'd follow up. I went home, but I couldn't sleep. All night I kept seeing that head every time I closed my eyes. I kept smelling that rotten metallic stink. I kept hearing the man's voice. "Wait, can you help me open this?" Today I went back to work. I tried to act normal, but every package felt heavier, every address seemed farther away. I kept looking in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that box sitting there again. My hands shook every time I picked up a new delivery. Now, every time I pick up a package, I wonder what's inside. I can't forget the smell, or the way the man looked at me through the door. I keep thinking about what I saw, and if I should have done something different. They say if a package feels wrong, you should trust your gut. Would you have opened the box? Let me know in the comments.